This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Baruchim Abba, and welcome to tonight's edition. I think this is the 9th shir on the Iggeres HaGra, and a busy night tonight, 7:45. There is a shir on the new sefer of Rabbi Meir. Actually, it's very much on this week's parsha about how Yaakov Avinu, by saving Esav, was actually trying to rescue Rabbi Meir. Then 8:30 is the regular parsha shir, very good stuff. And then tomorrow, of course, at 2:30 is the Shimru weekly Hilchos Shabbos. So the Gra just was discussing the importance of being careful with every single word that we say, and even greeting someone on Shabbos. Chazal have to sort of bend over backwards and try to find a heter to greet somebody and say good Shabbos to them, because the sanctity of Shabbos is so great. So because of its intense kedusha, it's difficult for Chazal to find even a heter to wish somebody good Shabbos. But beyond that, the Gra said, don't speak matters that are not very needed. Then the Gra says, you should honor the Shabbos greatly as you did before me. Now, this is a very important word. The Gra is saying you should honor the Shabbos as you did when I was present. The reason why the Gra adds this word is he's telling his family, if you don't continue to honor the Shabbos, then it comes out that all the past kavod that you extended to Shabbos, you weren't honoring Shabbos, you were honoring me. And now that I'm not here, so you're not honoring the Shabbos anymore. So not only are you lacking in the midst of kavod Shabbos, but retroactively you're demonstrating that all the kavod you showed in the past was not significant. Says the Gra, samsem klal, do not be stingy at all. Ki kol mezainoisav shel adam kitzuvin loy me Rosh Hashanah v'yad Yom HaKippurim. Because all of a person's food is set from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur, meaning the parnas that a person makes is established at the beginning of the year. Let's say on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem says, okay, you're going to make $100,000, $200,000, $500,000. However, as we know, the Gemara in Beis says, Chutz me'etzas Shabbosos v'etzas Yom Tov, except for what you spend on Shabbos or what you spend on Yom Tov. So if you spend more on Shabbos or you spend more on Yom Tov, you're not going to be losing out. So it's a win-win. You spend more on Shabbos, you have better delicacies on Shabbos, and you don't lose out because all of one's mezainos are set besides what one spends. Shabbos, Yom Tov, by the way, that includes schar limud for one's children and also Rosh Chodesh. Rav Goldberg has a suffix whether one would be required to honor the Shabbos l'shem shamayim for one to be zoiche that this doesn't come off the cheshbon, or even if somebody is honoring the Shabbos not specifically l'shem shamayim. Let's say someone just wants to eat expensive steak, and that's the reason they're buying an expensive steak. Does that also not come off the cheshbon? Okay, it's interesting. Shaila, the Reb Goldberg quotes Adaras Eliyahu. By the way, a common question I get is which sefer is Reb Goldberg's edition? So it's called Iggeres HaMusar. It has a number of letters in here, including the Iggeres HaGra and the Iggeres HaRamban, and the parish is called Bayu Cheshbain. Okay, now comes the Gra, and this is a very powerful words. He says, "V'gam basi levakish me'idcha ma'od ma'od." I've also come to request of you very, very much. B'vakasha gedola v'atzuma. In a very great and powerful request, ushtucha, extended, meaning I'm really asking you. The Gra is really laying it out for this request. Shetadrich es b'naisecha. Please guide your daughters. I ask of you, please guide your daughters. Ma'oid, very much. Shelo yetze mipeyem klala ushvua v'kazav umachlekes. Do not let out of their mouth a curse, or an oath, or falsehood, or machlekes. I believe the Shla Kadosh writes, it's interesting, Rav Goldberg quotes a different Shla, but the Shla writes, more than anything else, a parent should try to train their children, more than making brachos with kavana, more than not wasting time. The most important thing a parent should teach his child is the midah of emes. So he's begging his wife, please, do not allow anything to come out of our daughter's mouth that's a curse, that's an oath, that is false, that is fighting. V'rak hakol b'shalom. Everything should be with peace, ba'ahava, with love, v'chiba, with endearment, v'nachas, gently. Now, this is a very important thing. The Gra says, how should one spend Shabbos? There is a new minhag among the Jewish people, which really needs to be examined very carefully. And that is, some people mistakenly think that the purpose of Shabbos is to read Mishpacha magazine, and then read Ami magazine, and then read the Yated, and then read the Hamodia, and then read the Queen's Jewish Link, and then read the Five Towns Jewish Times, and then the Jewish Home, and then the Flatbush Jewish Journal. And I'm not sure what they're reading in London, but I'm sure they have the equivalent over there. And I know Mishpacha makes it over there for sure. However, the Gra says that what should one do on Shabbos? V'hine yeshli kama sifrei musar. I have many musar svarim in my closet, on my shelf. Im lashon Ashkenaz. And don't say you don't read Hebrew, because I have them translated into German or whatever language you need. Yikra'u tamid. You should always read them. So the Gra is telling his family, you should always learn Musar. Interesting, we know the Mesos Yesharim says in his Hakdama that things which are well known are more frequently forgotten. And the benefit that comes from learning Musar is not from an occasional study of Musar, but rather from the regular study of Musar and the regular review. But the Gra says, V'kol shekain b'Shabbos kodesh kadashim. Certainly on the holy of holy days, Shabbos, lo yisasku ella b'sifrei musar. You should not be engaged only with musar svarim. Meaning, what should you do on Shabbos? Only learn musar. I'm assuming you could learn other things. He's talking to his daughters, he's talking to his wife. A man, of course, learns other things as well. But everybody has to learn sifrei musar on Shabbos, and only sifrei musar. V'inei tidrachem tamid. You should always train them b'sifrei musar. Now, I believe that the Netziv would, so to speak, allow himself to look at a newspaper on Shabbos, but only after he finished his quota of what he felt he was supposed to learn. So I think it's probably a good idea that after the meal Friday night or Shabbos day, obviously, Lefi Madre Gasenu, we need to rest and we need to relax, but we should also make sure to use Shabbos for its intended purpose. So we should have a sort of a responsibility, okay? There are things that I want to look at, nothing inappropriate, of course, but Ben it's Oneg Shabbos, but after I learn what I've deemed that I'm able to, or what I should or could, and then first of all, this way you ensure you use Shabbos for its intended purpose, and you'll enjoy it. It will be much more Oneg Shabbos when you sort of use it as a treat for yourself when you've completed your quota. Now the Gra says something that I don't want to get into that much right now. The Gra says, V'al klala, u'shvua, v'chazav, for a curse, for an oath, for a falsehood, takel oisam. You need to hit them. V'loy terachem aleim klal. Don't have any mercy on them. If the children violate these things, it seems like from the Gra, the cursing and oaths and falsehood are the worst of the worst. Even though in the Even Shlema of the Gra, Rav Goldberg points out, he mentions this kind of repercussion for any infraction, but here the Gra is focusing on klala, shvua, kazav. The Gra says you should hit them and not have any mercy on them at all. Now, I cannot in good conscience give this advice. I believe it's illegal in the United States of America. And I see at least 2 other countries here that I know about, but I believe it's illegal in the United States of America, so we'll leave it at that, whatever my personal opinion is. However, Rav Volbe writes in a Sefer on Chinuch that sometimes the right word is yesh doiker k'mad koros cherev. There are words one could use which are impactful, like a slap. However, therapists or psychologists may say that actually verbal abuse could be much more harmful than physical abuse. So one has to always be careful that they don't use the words as a replacement for physical. They could end up doing more damage than helping. The truth is, we're dealing with a very, very weak generation, and aside from the legalities of it, most children today are not really capable of receiving physical punishment and being able to recover from it in a healthy way. That's just the reality today. So therefore, it requires great chachma to know how to properly instruct a child. I will say that Reb Shach writes that nowadays that the parent sort of gives over the child to the yeshiva, and the yeshiva is teaching Torah and supposed to be teaching some Derech Eretz and Midos. Today it's the primary job of the parent to shower a child with love, and after that even more love. And if in that context a parent is able to offer instruction, that's the only context that the instruction will be effective. But for a more in-depth discussion on corporal punishment, that's beyond today's shir. But I think what we could take out of it is how the Gra is instructing his family to spend their time on Shabbos, that it's not a time to waste time. It's not an occasion, chas v'shalom, to waste time, but one should use it for self-improvement, which is mostly accomplished by learning Sifrei Musar. And if the Gra felt his family needed to learn Musar, then probably we do as well. Okay, Rabbi say tomorrow 2:30. There's no Iggeres HaGra tomorrow. Tomorrow it's 2:30 Hilchos Shabbos, 7:45 tonight on El Kademer Aneni, 8:30 on the Parsha, and all the details are on the new website, rabbidg.com. Okay, good to see everyone. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great night. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.